Hey guys, this is Scott the Gastric Tiger here with a post WLSFA update. I have a lot that I kind of like to talk about, so this might be a little bit of a rambly video. Especially some of the things that are going on that I kind of wanted to talk about will end up being a little rambly, so stick with me. I think I have some good points to come up. We'll start out with some of the good news. Last time I told you that I had been on some meds for weight loss again, and I have to say that they're working. I have actually lost almost 20 pounds in the last month, and I had high weight high regain weight of 309 pounds, and now I'm down to 289. So, good news there. But I just kind of wanted to talk about something that came up at WLSFA this year. The conference itself was great. We went down and hung out with the Mahonies for a couple days at the compound, and they were the greatest hosts ever. They're the hostess with the mostesses, and we just had a great time. And really, that bonding time with close friends there really was kind of one of our favorite parts of the trip. Then we did some sightseeing, saw some waterfalls. It's gorgeous up there, especially out in the country and in the hills. Those mountains really were calling to me, and I wish I had more time to hike and that sort of thing, because it would have been awesome. Anyway, hung out there for a couple days, had some great times together, and then went to the conference. And this is the first year of WLSFA that I went to that I wasn't totally psyched to do. I wanted to see my friends, but the conference itself was not something I really was super psyched to do. And oddly enough, while talking to quite a few of my other friends, that same concept was pretty prevalent. A lot of my friends were very nervous and really had to talk themselves into going this year. And a lot of it is because of one of the topics that we always hate to discuss, but is absolutely part of this journey, and that's regain. A lot of us this year have suffered with regain, and have had a hard time getting the weight back off. And the thing that's interesting about it is all the psychological stuff that goes around regain. I know I regained more than most people, and I felt like I had a valid reason that sometimes I used as an excuse for a long time. Sometimes you just have to get fed up with things and decide that you need to get a second opinion. And that's kind of how my journey back down has started. But when you do regain, there's a whole lot of stigma surrounding it, and I know a lot of it's just in our own heads, but there's a lot of shame and guilt around it, and not from other people. It's us. We go through our lives where we've always been ashamed of our weight. We've always been just guilty about it. And when you go through weight loss surgery, all that weight drops off, and it's just like suddenly there's just like this relief, and you feel normal, and you feel like a new person. And once the regain starts, once you start getting some weight back on, a lot of that confidence starts to disappear or get hidden, and we really have to fight to be that person that we want to be. I know for me personally, when I started the regain stuff, it caused me to want to withdraw a lot, especially from this community. especially when I felt like I didn't have any control over it anymore. Uh, and that was scary, and I felt, I felt very ashamed about it, and um, you stop wanting to take pictures of yourself. You stop wanting to interact with people who are losing weight or are very successful at losing weight, because you feel inferior. At least that's me. That's how I feel. So I went to WLSFA this year, a bit reluctantly, and if I seemed a little bit off there when you met me, that's probably a lot of what was going on. Is just the self-confidence wasn't there the same way it has been in the past. And oddly enough, this re-losing is interesting, but it's still, I know I should be celebrating, but it's still very, very tough, because it is coming off slow-ish. Been a lot faster last month, but just makes me very, very nervous. And that's something that a lot of people that I talked to this last weekend had the same sort of thing. The nervousness, the not wanting to show up. And that's the point, though. That's the point I was wanting to get to. The difference between who we are now and that old fat self. The difference now is we don't give up. We just don't give up. It's not an option. And we keep pushing on, even when it's tough, even when we're not getting gaining any ground. I think all of us still have that desire and that need to push on. Other thing I want to talk about, at the conference, I sat in on a couple of panels with Dr. Duc Vuong. He's an awesome teacher. He has a lot of videos out on YouTube and on Facebook. Look him up. He's the support surgeon. But one of the things that he talked about that just made a whole lot of sense, and it's around this regain stuff, and sort of supports the lifetime fat thing to a certain degree, and some of the psychoses that we suffer worse than some other people. But he was talking about how we have filters that we see the world through. For instance, if you have an apple that has a bruise on it, in America, we see it through the filter of that apple is no good, and we'd rather have one that was perfect. But if you're from a third world country and you see an apple like that, your filter says, food, I'm hungry, and you're willing to eat it. And throughout our lives, we build a lot of fat brain filters. We see the world in a completely different way than normal people. And some of that is self-protective. Some of that is environment, the way we were raised, the people that said things to us throughout our lives, the people who we hang out with, and the people who shape us. All those sort of things give us filters in which we see our world. And over time, his point was, over time, we need to learn how to change those filters from fat brain filters to thin brain filters. So my goal, and what I'm working on right now, is just figuring out what those fat filters are for me. I know that I have a ton of them, and sometimes I don't know what I don't know. Sometimes we think a certain way, and that's the way we've always thought, but we don't understand why we think that, or that if that thought is really self-destructive or wrong. But yeah, so I challenge you to start looking at your life and looking at your journey. For long-term success, we need to start thinking like thin people instead of fat people. And I know that's the tough mental journey that I'm kind of facing right now and trying to look at. And I know throughout my journey I've changed a lot of my filters already, but obviously there are some that are still there, and I need to take a closer look at that. I challenge you to do so too. So that's really about all I wanted to say. Like I said, WLSFA was good. Probably not my favorite of the WLSFAs. Not entirely sure that I'll be going to another one anytime soon. It really depends on where it is. I'd much rather actually just hang out with my family, and I think that's kind of a consensus too. That figure out a way to have that personal time with people that we're really, really close to. But anyway, I think that's it for now. So remember to get out there and have the courage to be the new you this week. And remember that every small step leads to an epic adventure. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.